Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Let's get Moose situated. Yay, he's already facing the camera today. He's learned. He's like, I get it. I'm famous. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Come on in. Welcome in. I keep almost grabbing the microphone when I want a cup of coffee. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this microphone superior to my last situation? I'm going to put it up here, see if that also helps. Hello, can you hear me even better now? No, I think you can hear me just fine. All right, I'm playing with things. Sorry if this is loud. Okay, good morning. Good morning, good morning. I have some announcements to make. First is that on next Monday, I will not be here. So Moose will be hosting the meditation. I'm not really sure how he's going to set up all the equipment because he doesn't really have thumbs or other opposable digits. But that's between all of you. You guys can figure that out, how Moose is going to set up the meditation, because I am going to be in a car at 6:40 a.m. on Monday. Okay, JK, Moose is not going to be hosting. I know some of you got really excited about him leading the guided meditations. I'm sorry. So it's my birthday. Woo! Woo! Cheers to my birthday. And so on Monday the 10th is not my birthday, but I'm doing something exciting on the 10th. In fact, I'm doing exciting things on the 7th and the 8th and the 9th and the 10th. And one of those days is my birthday. So on the 10th, I'm going to be driving in a car, and it's very early in the morning, and I really tried to figure out a way to be here because my goal was to really, really try to never miss a meditation unless it's my birthday, I guess. So yeah, just a heads up. I'll keep putting it out there. I'll remind us again. But for now, just have it in your ear that next Monday you'll be sleeping in or just not hanging out with me, excuse me, in the morning. Okay? All right. So how are you? It's Tuesday. It's tired in here. It's very tired in here in this room. As you can see, I've been having lots of great times because I have visitors. And normally I do go to bed a little earlier, but I just can't help myself. I'm having such a good time. So I'm staying up a little later. And I was just thinking that that probably aligns with some sort of value I have, which is what we're going to talk about today. Values. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I'm a mom or something when I talk about values. Like, you know, it just makes me feel a little silly to talk about values. And I think it makes me feel a little silly because I didn't really grow up with them being a priority. And when I talk about values now, it just feels a little stuffy, a little like, values. What are your values? I don't know. It just makes me think of rich people. Rich people had values growing up. I didn't have time for values. No, that's not true. But the truth is my parents didn't really raise me to, they raised me to have values. You know, it's why I didn't end up a little burglar or something, right? Like, if I didn't have values, I might have been looting the neighborhoods. So I think my values growing up were primarily focused on following Jesus and being a Christian, which was also kind of challenging sometimes because the values in the Bible, well, I had problems with a couple of them in particular. We'll get to that some other time. But for now, I ended up doing a bunch of research about values and how I could kind of talk to you guys about them while also educating myself some more. And it made me think of two things. One is that last year I did take a lot of time, several days, and I kind of mapped out the different facets of my life, sort of like I was talking to you guys about yesterday. Because I figured when it comes to like law of attraction or manifesting and things like that, I'm I'm not going to be in alignment with the things I want to happen in my life unless I'm really clear on how I'm attracting those things into my life. And that was actually another way for me to look at my values without really knowing I was looking at my values, because I was thinking I just want to be in alignment with what's important to me. And that's really what a value is. It's just essentially picking a word on a list and saying, yeah, that's me. I agree with that. So here's how I did it. One is that when I mapped out my life, and I had kind of like I mentioned yesterday, career, personal life, spiritual life, and I broke that down into subcategories. And again, it took me days to do this because it was very mentally and emotionally taxing to really look at the places in my life where maybe I was acting pretty unconsciously for a while, and sort of having to go back and reflect on, all the years I was doing things sort of like one foot in, one foot out, one foot in of my values, and then also just sort of feeling like I was at the mercy of the world, which is true. But I didn't know how to be completely aligned, dedicated, and focused to those values. And it's a practice, So if you know what your values are, if you're clear on your values already, then this can be just a fun week to sort of dial in further on perhaps why, or going over your values again, or maybe adding some in, or maybe taking a look at an aspect of your life that doesn't have that kind of guidance or leadership surrounding it. So just some options there. I also have lists for you guys. I have about 4 links that are included in the description of this morning meditation today. And I picked out these links because I thought they had nice variety. One is an exercise and a quiz with like lists. One is about how, you identify your core values. Here, what we do in the mornings, meditating, this isn't like a workshop where we really dive super deep on things. But that's why I wanted to provide you with some lists and some inspiration if you feel called to do more work when we're away from each other. And then I also wanted to tell you something interesting that happened while I was reading these articles. Now, I forget which article it is, and I forget if I even included it in my list, but one of the articles had this really interesting suggestion, this exercise of how you would identify what's important to you. And the exercise suggested that you pretend you're writing your own eulogy or you're at your own funeral. And then I realized that I too attended I don't know how many funerals. I don't know how many funerals I've attended. I'll get back to that in a minute. I don't mean to be suspenseful. I'm just trying to find my thought. It's a little tired in here this morning. Let me have some more coffee. I consciously attended I don't know how many funerals. And one of the reasons, not the most important reason I was there, but one of the biggest reasons I was there is because I wanted to learn what was important to people. I wanted to learn what people missed when other people passed away and died. I wanted to listen to their stories and identify patterns over time. I would hear the same stories, same types of stories. I would hear the same things over and over about what made people click and appreciate their loved one, what made people feel like, Grandpa Joe was the best grandpa ever. Like, what was that? What was it that made mom the best mom, grandpa the best grandpa, uncle the best uncle? I wanted to hear it from the people who lived it. And growing up and not having a tight family, I didn't have those examples. I had an awesome mom. I had an awesome dad. And they were both growing up too in their own ways. They're late bloomers like me. Us Rice family, we're late bloomers. But everything's good now. But back then, back in the day, it was rough, and I didn't have a lot of positive role models, and so that's probably why I ended up at funerals to learn my values. So why was I at so many funerals? Did I funeral crash? No, I did not. I did not just show up at random people's funerals. I was working there. I worked at a funeral home for a long time. One of my first careers was actually, I guess it was technically my first career because I attended college to go to mortuary school. And then I worked in funerals and funeral homes for several years. So I went to mortuary school in oops, sorry, I just knocked I just knocked the microphone. I'm sorry if that was loud. I attended mortuary school in Sacramento, and then I moved to Berkeley and then to Oakland, and I worked at funeral homes in the Bay Area for several years. So what did I learn? What became my values over time? Okay, like I said, I woke up pretty late. I was not super conscious back then, but I was conscious enough to know what I was doing. I knew that when I was sitting in the back of the chapel in my little control booth, making sure people's microphone volumes were loud enough, making sure I was going to start the song on time, push play, inviting people into the chapel, being a funeral director. I'd be sitting back there and I'd be listening to the most beautiful stories, that was an amazing opportunity and level of intimacy, peek into people's lives that, I treasure and I still think about it this day. So what did I learn? Listen, I know dancing isn't a value, but it felt like a value at the time. Dancing. what am I talking about, right? People really like to talk about their loved ones dancing. So some people, this had to do with lessons, like Uncle so and so and Aunt so and so took ballroom lessons at Arthur Murray for years, and then they spent, you know, the rest of their years going on cruises and dancing at every social occasion. And so, they people would talk about how at all the social gatherings or just at the parties or whatever that so and so would always be dancing. It was beautiful and lovely to watch them express themselves and be so happy and artistic. So that was one of them, dancing. Another one was cooking or food, right? Like Popo always had, all these dishes all the time out. And anytime we would come over for this holiday, she would always or he would always make this dish. And, it became tradition. It became part of this enriching experience. So food or cooking, dance, food, cooking. Another one was people who were really involved in the community. So people who would either, and some of it was like local things like um, local politics, people who are on the local boards, and I'm not really sure for what that I remember, but community. So sometimes people would drive food banks or, create giving situations or charitable situations, or, they were really involved in the VA. That was a big one too, the Veterans Association. So social giving or social service was another one. Those are the big three that I'm remembering off the top of my head right now. But there were so many more. And so, yeah, I totally learned how to dance, and I'm pretty good at making food. And socially, it did have an impact on me. While in California, I did various charitable things throughout the years and donated my time and worked with different communities, and that was really enriching and rewarding and felt really good. So, you know, is dancing a value? I don't know if it's a value. I don't know that I show up to certain situations in my life and say, I'm going to dance through this one. Watch out, everyone. No, probably not. But that might actually solve problems easier if you just dance at people. Is someone giving you a hard time? It's just twirl. Just twirl at them. Someone being rude to you? You just sashay away. Oh man, I just cracked myself up. I'm a huge RuPaul fan. Sashay away. Hair flip. Values. All right. So that is how I learned about values without really knowing I was learning about values. Because, of course, there was such tender moments in there too that I didn't understand were values. So and so, grandpa was always there to listen. I could call him every Friday and complain, and he would just listen and be there. That sounds more like a value of holding space for somebody, of being safe, a safe space. So, anyway, I have included for you some resources if you feel like dialing into this. And I want you to know that I'm actually going to be doing it too. I'm going to look over values that I wrote last year. I'm going to see how I'm doing with them because I haven't really looked at it. I just wrote it down and was like, and now I'm a person with values. But I haven't really looked at it. And the reason I haven't is because truthfully, I'm in a different pattern in my life right now. So this is something that might be relevant to say because not all of you might feel like now is a good time to work on values. You might be kind of having some other stuff going on in your life, and maybe you don't feel resourced enough to spend a lot of time thinking about how you want to improve yourself in a very focused way. And that's totally cool. I get it. I've been in a healing mode, coming off of a divorce pretty recently. It was a great time to look at my values and reset them, but then kind of put them away. Have an anchoring in and an orientation point for my new beginnings, but not focusing too much on them because my heart and my mind and my body are all pretty focused right now on just acclimating to a new life. So honestly, one of my values is patience with myself. So that's the value that I'm doing really good at right now. All right. So yeah, that feels done. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Okay. Good. So feel free to have some more coffee. We're going to start transitioning into our guided meditation. Yay. Let me just pull up my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can figure that out. So let's start to get settled in, consciously beginning to shift your mindset into our beginning phase of meditating. So, having some water. I'm sorry, we don't drink water in the morning, do we? Having some coffee, some cafecito, some cafe. I can learn more words for coffee in other languages. Feel free to suggest them. I will start saying coffee in whatever language you want. So, beginning to find your seat, or if you are laying down, feel free to make yourself nice and comfortable. Maybe a pillow underneath your legs or your feet. Just settling in. And taking a breath or two here. Just feeling yourself get nice and cozy. Mm. And beginning to drop in now, sensing our root or our seat or our feet, whatever feels right, and then feeling that connection begin with the earth, rooting down, grounding down to Mother Earth. Feeling that beautiful resonance first thing in the morning of our connection to our bodies, our foundation, our earth, sending her some love. And also becoming aware of that moment where you feel energy enter your body from earth. And just sensing into what that feels like, where in your body you feel it. Saying good morning to her. And then opening up your crown chakra and inviting that powerful, beautiful, rejuvenating, clearing light from spirit, from source. drawing that into your crown chakra, but also your energy fields. And down through your chakras, really knowing this light, inviting this light all the way into your body, clearing and cleansing all the way deep into your cells. This light clearing out everything that you are ready to let go of. Just blasting it all away. Just letting go of anything and everything that no longer serves you. And then feeling into your heart center. You can place a hand on your heart if you like. Just really breathing in and feeling that spark. And I invite you to recall something that happened, hopefully yesterday, that just lit you up. Something that excited you, made you happy, maybe made you laugh. And just feeling into that, allowing it to warm and soften your heart. Allowing it to perhaps bring a smile to your face, or just an opening and an expansion in your body. Just feeling yourself expand a little, maybe grow a little taller in your seat, or even stretch out a little more as you feel this heart expansion travel throughout your body. Maybe stretching into your heart expansion a little this morning. And I think Moose liked that too. He took a big sigh. And just enjoying this alignment. And this morning, I want to invite you to set a conscious intention to open up your heart and your mind just a little bit wider than usual this morning. Because in our visualization, we're going to turn on our observing awareness. And as we observe, I would love to encourage you to also perhaps consider a value of non-attachment as we observe today. And so, non-attachment simply meaning as we observe what we observe, we release judgment. We don't invite in opinion. We're holding a value of neutrality and alignment with non-attachment as we observe. And so, feeling into this alignment, our neutrality value activated. Let's do something a little fun today as we begin our journey. I'm not sure why exactly, but I feel like being in a little rocket ship this morning, kind of like the one from the emojis. It's a really cute looking emoji rocket ship. But feel free to go ahead on your own and invite into your awareness a type of spacecraft today that you can orbit the Earth in. Can be whatever you want. Can literally be like an orange. You can float around space in an orange if you want. You don't have to be in a rocket ship. I just want to. And so imagine yourselves now in orbit around the Earth. You can be as close to the Earth or as far away as you like, because you also have instruments that help you see close and far away. And so you can begin to bring up the Earth in your mind's eye and just imagine yourself floating around it. We're on an observation mission today because we trust and believe that Mother Earth has her own values. She's a pretty evolved being, so we're going to hold off on projecting any values onto her or into her. Instead, we are going to observe and try to perhaps hypothesize on what her values might be if we just observe with an objective eye. So let us begin now to observe Earth from our orbit. I have a song in my head right now that I might change up or add in addition. I'll add it in addition. We're going to do 2 songs today. I'm sorry, but I wish you could hear the song in my head. Feel free to turn on the radio in your rocket ship if you like. And so we begin to orbit the Earth. And listen, I can feel you guys being beautiful, lovely people. So while we're up here, if you want, you can switch on your love beams from your rocket ship. You have them. They're on the right-hand side of your control panel. That little switch that says activate love beams. Just turn that on. They'll automatically blast to Earth. You don't have to worry about it while we're working today. So go ahead and turn on your love beams. They'll be working. And so we observe. We are orbiting the Earth now. And like the objective space cadets we are, you can imagine yourself like a visitor to this planet, simply jotting down what you see and observe of the Earth and her values. When we begin to really dial in and look at what Mother Earth objectively does, we may notice that one of her values is abundance. Mother Earth, no matter what, is always providing something, usually in the form of an abundance of plant life, an abundance of resources, an abundance of life. And perhaps we also notice another observation is allowing. Mother Earth seems to simply allow life. She allows herself to be perhaps another value, foundation, a safe space. As we observe Mother Earth from our orbit, as we fly and float around her and around, what do you notice? What do you see Mother Earth presenting as a value? And if you like, you can use some of her other instruments on your spaceship. You can even tap into the feeling energetically to observe objectively perhaps some more sensation related values. Perhaps you observe a value that Mother Earth holds that is nurturing, enduring, patient, dependable, providing. Remaining objective, just observing, logging our notes. Begin to take a couple more orbits around the Earth on your own. My fellow space travelers, perhaps take a couple mental notes on your own observations of her values, on your own now. And let's all do something a little fun while we're here. It looks like there's 4 of us in this moment, and on the replay, there'll be many more. So many. I'm gonna go viral today, in fact. And so the 4 of us, now that we're up here in space, no matter what you're doing, there's the multidimensional aspect of you. Right, Jasper? Multidimensional aspect, and we are pointed at Earth. We have our love beams activated. They've been blasting Mother Earth with love beams just as we've been observing. And so let's go ahead and activate this loving energy to put it on maximum capacity. Let's turn that love dial all the way to max, full volume, and just send the earth some love real quick while we're here. Why not? Just take a couple breaths, sending her some love. and perhaps a little gratitude. Wonderful. And now let's deactivate our love beams and begin to take your ship back down into the Earth's orbit where your body is, allowing my voice to guide you back down into your body, out of your spaceship or whatever it was that you were flying around in, letting that go, putting it off to the side and stepping into your body now. And then back full into your body, giving yourself a nice stretch, making some fists or just something that really anchors you back in. You can flutter your eyes open and meet me on screen. Have a sip of your cafecito, your tea. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Say good morning to me. Say good morning to all of us, Moose especially. Hello, good morning. Okay, so we're going to transition into our personal meditation this morning. And today's focus is really about beginning to observe yourself. Morning, Boo Boo. Good morning, Blue Boo. That was really dorky. You guys need to learn quick that I'm a dork, okay? Don't be thinking I'm cool. I am not cool. All right, so I did include a resource for you guys if you feel so inclined to check out, perhaps how you'd like to choose your values, just some options there. But I shared that story about me observing funerals because before we go and look at a list, if that doesn't feel right to you, you might just want to observe or reflect upon certain situations in your life and how you handled them or how you arrived at a decision. Some examples I was reading about were, if you think back on when you were going to perhaps switch careers or take a new job or even accept a promotion in a job, that was a moment where you considered your decision from the orientation of your values. Perhaps, but perhaps you didn't. Perhaps you said to yourself, I don't feel like I have much of a choice because my financial situation requires that I do take this promotion. Well, guess what? Financial stability is a value. One of the links I included actually drove me a little bit crazy. It was let me just make sure. Yeah, I think it's the one, yes, it is the one called List of Personal Values. Personalvalue.es, okay? Yeah, that one. That one drove me a little crazy because it forces you, in a good way, to choose values over other values. And so you really begin to test yourself when you're put in that situation where, this list made me choose financial stability over freedom, financial stability or love over financial stability, right? So it's like it puts the two values right next to each other and you have to choose. And you might be shocked what you feel like you have to put first. So I thought what might be nice for us to do this morning for our personal meditation is to just like we did for Earth, sort of observe ourselves first. And maybe we observe that our heart is always in the right place, and yet we also observe that sometimes we have to put responsibilities first. Because Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a real thing, okay? Sometimes we have to make sure we're fed first, right? Or we're resourced first before we can explore other values that might be more doable for other people, okay? So there's no right or wrong place to be with your values. There's no judgment from me. Sometimes we have to put financial values or logistical values above some other values that might feel more resonant because we have responsibilities to ourselves and other people. So, good morning, Jasper. He says, "Good morning. I won't be turning off my high love beams unless it's too bright for them. Most people act like it's invisible anyway. Some seem to act like it's too powerful." Yeah. Well, you blast them anyway. Because they might think it's too powerful, but tomorrow they'll be like, thank you, Jasper. I really needed that extra heavy dose of love. So you do you, right? You keep blasting them. Because I'm feeling it too, right? I'm getting some of that love beam. It's sustaining me. Thank you. It's not too bright. It's good. All right, so we're going to transition now into our personal practice. I'm staring at Moose because he has a ray of sun on him. Do you see it? It's a love beam. This is Jasper's love beam hitting Moose's head. Well done, Jasper. You are getting really good at using the sun as a portal for your love beams right onto Moose's head. All right. I kid, but I'm also partially serious because we work in the quantum level where everything's possible. All right. So let's begin to settle back into our own energy, settle back into our body, finding that alignment again, taking that last sip of coffee and closing your eyes, coming back into your own energy, rooting down to Mother Earth, feeling your heart and your sense of connection with Spirit sustaining you for the entire time that we work together. This beautiful light is with you, assisting you and supporting you. And let's call in our guides for assistance today, especially our universal self, or some people call it their higher self. And if you have any special guides or allies that you work with for especially self-growth or personal transitions and shifts, really looking at things from a place of wisdom today, heart wisdom, but also mind wisdom. Because the reality is that we live in a 3D world with specific structures in play that require us to be resourced in ways that we might not care about too much. But when it comes to the daily comfort in our lives and in support of perhaps our little ones and the people we care for in our family, There's just certain things that, for now, we have to consider and care about. And so just knowing that whatever we observe and see today is an aspect that is coming forward for a good reason you can trust. Just allowing yourself once again to become the observer through neutrality, non-judgment. And so I want you to imagine that you are in a really lovely place, an open, more expansive landscape. And then you can be anywhere on this beautiful planet, Earth. Just making sure you're nice and comfortable in your environment. It's a peaceful place, a quieter place. And I want you to find a nice place to sit. And I would like to invite you to perhaps have a snack with you, a quantum snack. Perhaps some quantum popcorn, perhaps some quantum non-GMO cheesy poofs. There's no wrong snack, you just enjoy yourself. And I want you also to imagine that a giant inflatable screen appears in your scene. And this screen is a movie screen. And on it, in the background, beginning to play, it's just snippets of your life. You don't have to worry about it too much, what those snippets are, because they're just beginning to naturally play in the background. And these events that are playing don't affect you in any way, emotionally or physically. Just begin to observe what's looping on your screen. And as you begin to observe what's happening on your screen, you begin to notice about 4 or 5 repeating scenes. And they're just brief, like little vines or TikToks. You remember vines? They were like 6 seconds long. They're just like little loops, little snippets of your life playing over and over. And you don't have to remember them all. They might be clear, they might be obscure. And if you can't observe or see what's happening on the screen, you may simply have more of a knowing right now of a couple circumstances in your life that want to be observed. And so I'm going to be quiet for just a moment as you allow these things to arrive into your awareness. You simply observe the moments in your life where you are faced with a big decision. and observing objectively with no judgment, maybe even some tenderness, just observing how you reacted. Why did you make the choice you did? Perhaps lovingly identifying if it feels right now. You can always do this later. Perhaps observing even why you chose the decision you did. And if you're coming up with concepts like, because I felt like it, or because it seemed like the right thing to do, it's perfectly all right. I invite you a little later to perhaps write that all down, journal it, or think about it from a couple different perspectives. You might notice that because it felt like the right thing to do, reveals upon closer reflection a value that made you sense that that was the right thing to do. What were you valuing or prioritizing in that decision? And spending some time on your own now, making sure you're breathing and being loving and gentle. Can always place a hand on your heart to help you stay heart centered during your observation. Hmm. You can just make a note or set an intention to come back to this place or sort it all out a little more later. If you didn't find all the information today, you can always go back. And from this space, I invite you now, still as an observer, to ask yourself, would you still make the same decisions today? Would you choose the same value or would you tweak it? Perhaps you're feeling like you would choose the same value, but perhaps with a different type of decision. Perhaps you realize that you needed to include a couple more values as part of your decision making. Perhaps you realize that the value was coming from a place of unconsciousness or ego or even fear or lack. Whatever it is, just gently recognizing that we can always trust that in the moment we were doing the best we could. And that as we grow and expand, so does our version of what the best we can means. Your best today wasn't your best 5 years ago, but you were still doing your best 5 years ago. And so taking a deep breath into all the parts of ourselves that we saw today, sending them some love, directing just some love to yourself and to what you're seeing play out in front of you. And just knowing that no matter what we saw or observed today, it is in support and in service to our growth and our wholeness. And so you begin to see now that the screen and the images are slowing down. They're beginning to fade away. And the beautiful scenery around you is becoming more prominent now. And the screen begins to almost just turn into a bit of a translucent sort of vapor. Kind of just begins to disappear and fade away into the atmosphere. And you are there in your beautiful place with your snack. You can just have a little more of that snack real quick and then put it off to the side. And then once again, returning to your body. Returning to your body, listening to my voice, anchor you back in to your body fully. Making sure you're really back in your body completely, feeling your sit bones, your connection to the bed or the earth, and opening your eyes when it feels right to you. Giving a nice stretch. Oh, man. And feel free to just jot some things down or journal them if you feel like it might slip out of your mind. You could just jot it down. Always come back to it later. Okay. Yay. That was nice. So I mentioned to you guys that I pulled this herb crafter or this mallow card from the Herb Crafter's Tarot, and I just want to show you this book because I'm really fascinated by this. This is an oracle deck. It's modeled after tarot, which I'm still learning. But I pulled the mallow card, which was sort of representative of the two. Oops, sorry, microphone. Still getting used to that. Mallow is representative of the Two of Cups in this deck. And, oh man, did I not pick it out? Okay. So I was going to read about the Two of Cups energy. And to be completely honest, when I asked for the card, I asked that a card present itself that would help me choose a topic for this week. And when I got the card, oh, here it is. It felt like self-love, more than it felt like values. But then even as I'm saying that, self-love is a value. Okay, so I'm just going to show it to you because it feels relevant for maybe someone. I don't know. So this is mallow. And this, again, is from the Herb Crafter's Tarot. And so this is 2 of water, which is 2 of cups. And we have some hummingbirds. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But hummingbirds are actually one of my spirit totems. So feel free to look up the meaning in tarot of 2 of cups if that feels right to you. The themes in mallow that might be relevant to our work today are let love in, soften dry and brittle wounds, and welcome genuine connection. And this card also talks about vulnerability, it talks about sovereignty, talks about self-renewal and creating relationships. And it also talks about allowing yourself to be drawn in by what you love. And that's the part that I felt most resonant with in relationship to this work of values, is values and orientation for deciding what our values are is observing how we want to allow more love into our life. So where can you sort of soften up within yourself to allow yourself to choose values that are in alignment with that which you want to invite more of into your life, right? So it's like letting more love in is sometimes means becoming more firm in our orientation, in our values. So creating containers is what values is all about. It's making sure you continue down a pattern and a life, a path, continue down a path that is in alignment with your values. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be doing the same work. I'm going to go over my list and I'm going to see my lists and I'm going to see how I'm doing. How am I doing with the values that I chose last year? Am I doing a good job? Does there need to be some refinement? Yeah, I'm just watching Moose. Okay, so and then I was going to choose a card for us this morning, but then this card, so what happened was I had the deck and I didn't have the book. The book didn't come with the deck, it was just an oops. So I didn't know what mallow meant until last night. So this becomes our card. Okay, everyone. That's all I got today. So check out the description where those links are if you want some inspiration on helping you identify your values. And then I have a beautiful song for us. And this particular link that I'm sending you is a video of the song. And the video is pretty cool to watch. But because it is first thing in the morning, I'll just let you know that the video is of people overcoming fears. And so there might be a lot of triggers in this video. I am sensitive in the mornings. So this might be a video that I wouldn't watch in the morning if these fears were some of my fears as well. None of these fears are my fears, but they might be yours. So just a heads up, you can always just listen to the song. The song has nothing to do about fear, but it does have to do with surprising yourself and I know that I surprise myself when I really take a look at my values, because I become surprised at what rises to the top as the most important things to me. So that's it. That's all I got. I'm trying to tell you what today is. I'll never know what today is. I'll always have to look at my phone until it's my birthday. Okay, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Did I make some dorky people really happy just now by saying May the 4th be with you? I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but May the 4th be with you. Today is May 4th. Tuesday, May 4th. And I love you. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.